Hello everyone, welcome back to Jikook Diaries channel. Oh my gosh, there are moments that don't need to be announced. Moments that don't scream for attention. Moments that don't demand validation from anyone. They simply exist. And when they do, you feel them. That's exactly what happens every time Jungkook gets lost in his own world. And somehow, Jimin is right there at the center of it. There is something incredibly telling about the way Jungkook drifts off. His eyes soften, his posture relaxes, his energy changes. He's no longer the hyper, playful golden magne bouncing around the room. He becomes quieter, more inward, almost as if he's listening to a voice only he can hear. And more often than not, that voice seems to be tied to Jimin. Not because he says it out loud, not because he makes it obvious on purpose, but because his entire body language shifts in a way that feels deeply familiar to anyone who has ever been in love. Jungkook doesn't perform his affection. He lives in it. When he's lost in his own world, he forgets the cameras, forgets the audience, forgets the expectations placed on him as an idol. And that's when the truth slips through the cracks. A small smile that appears for no clear reason. A glance that lingers just a second longer than necessary. A subconscious lean in Jimin's direction, as if his body naturally knows where it belongs even when his mind is somewhere else. What makes it so obvious isn't grand gestures or dramatic confessions. It's the consistency. It's the way Jungkook's attention gravitates toward Jimin even when he's distracted. It's how his mood visibly lifts the moment Jimin speaks. It's how his eyes soften instantly when they meet Jimin's. Like the rest of the world fades away and everything becomes quieter, safer, warmer. There's a certain vulnerability in those moments. Jungkook, who is usually so aware, so sharp, so responsive, lets his guard down completely. And in that unguarded state, Jimin is not just present. He is grounding. Jungkook's love doesn't shout. It settles. It wraps itself around him gently, like something he doesn't even question anymore because it feels natural, inevitable. You can see it in the way Jungkook reacts before he realizes he's reacting. The way he mirrors Jimin's expressions without thinking. The way he adjusts himself instinctively when Jimin moves closer. The way his smile changes, becoming softer, more personal, less performative. These are not reactions you rehearse. These are responses your heart gives before your brain has time to intervene. And Jimin knows. He always knows. There's a quiet awareness in the way Jimin watches Jungkook when he's like that. Not possessive, not dramatic, just gentle and knowing. As if he understands exactly where Jungkook's mind has wandered. And he's content to let him be there. Sometimes Jimin doesn't even need to do anything. His presence alone is enough to pull Jungkook back. Or sometimes, to let him drift a little further, safe in the knowledge that he's not alone. That's the thing about their dynamic. It's not about proving anything to anyone. It's about comfort. It's about emotional familiarity built over years of shared experiences, shared struggles, shared growth. When Jungkook gets lost in his own world, it doesn't feel like he's escaping. It feels like he's resting. And Jimin is part of that rest. There's also something incredibly human about how Jungkook's love shows up in those moments. He's not trying to be charming. He's not trying to be funny or impressive. He's just himself. And that version of Jungkook, the quiet, thoughtful, slightly dreamy one, seems to exist most comfortably around Jimin. It's as if loving Jimin has become such a deeply embedded part of him that it surfaces most clearly when he stops trying to be anything else. People often look for proof in words, statements, labels. But love like this doesn't rely on language. It lives in habits, in patterns, in the way Jungkook unconsciously checks Jimin's reaction before he reacts himself. In the way he seems more at ease simply knowing Jimin is nearby. In the way his laughter sounds different, softer, more genuine, when it's directed at him. And perhaps the most obvious part of all is how unforced it is. Jungkook doesn't seem aware of how transparent his feelings become when he's lost in thought. He doesn't realize that his eyes always seem to find Jimin again. He doesn't notice how his body naturally orients toward him. But everyone else does. Because when someone is truly in love, their heart speaks even when they're silent. Oh my gosh, it's in those quiet seconds that say everything. The pauses, the drifting gaze, the absent-minded smiles. The way Jungkook looks like he's somewhere far away, yet somehow closer to Jimin than ever. Love doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes, it simply reveals itself when you forget to hide it. And Jungkook, lost in his own world, never hides it at all. And maybe that's why these moments resonate so deeply with so many people. Because they feel real. They don't feel staged or calculated. They feel like the kind of love that grows quietly over time, shaped by trust, understanding, and an emotional connection that doesn't need to be constantly reaffirmed. Jungkook doesn't need to reach out every time. He doesn't need to say Jimin's name out loud. Sometimes, just existing in the same space is enough. Sometimes, just knowing Jimin is there allows him to fully relax, to let his mind wander without fear. There's something incredibly intimate about loving someone to the point where their presence becomes part of your inner world. Jungkook's thoughts may drift, his gaze may soften, but there is always an invisible thread pulling him back to Jimin. It's in the way he subconsciously listens for Jimin's voice, even when multiple conversations are happening around him. It's in how he reacts faster to Jimin than to anyone else, as if his heart recognizes him before his ears do. And when Jungkook finally comes back from that quiet place in his mind, it's often Jimin who brings him back fully. A soft laugh, a gentle comment, a familiar tone that grounds him instantly. There's no urgency in it, no need to interrupt or demand attention, just a natural reconnection, like two people who are deeply attuned to each other's emotional rhythms. These moments remind us that love doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like comfort, like ease, like being able to lose yourself and still feel held. Jungkook's love for Jimin feels like that kind of love, the kind that doesn't rush, doesn't doubt, doesn't need to prove itself. It simply exists, steady and warm, in the background of everything he does. And maybe that's why, even when Jungkook is lost in his own world, he never truly feels alone. Because Jimin isn't just someone beside him. He's someone within him, part of the space where Jungkook feels safest, calmest, and most himself. And once you start noticing that, once you truly see it, it becomes impossible to ignore just how obvious that love really is. Purple Heart. Armies, let's take a moment and breathe that in. Not everything needs to be loud to be real. Sometimes, the quietest moments tell the deepest stories. What we shared today wasn't about forcing meanings or creating drama, but about noticing patterns, consistency, and the gentle emotions that reveal themselves when someone feels safe and loved. If a moment in this video touched you, let us know in the comments. Which scene made you pause? Which glance or smile stayed with you the longest? Everyone may see things differently, and that's okay. Let's keep this space kind, respectful, and warm, just like the love we're observing. If you enjoy thoughtful Jikook content like this, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss future uploads. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching with an open heart. And as always, see you in the next story.